This is Brandon Jones with Pact Publishing. In this video, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the video course I've developed called Learn Kotlin by Developing Android Apps. First, a little bit about me. I've been an adjunct assistant professor at the University of Cincinnati since the 2000-2001 school year. In that time, I've taught nearly all the courses under the software development major, including many of the Java courses. In 2010-2011, I proposed that we redo our mobile development offering with something that's more Java-based. Initially, that was BlackBerry, but within 9 months, we changed that over to an Android course, an Android development course, and in doing so, we're one of the first universities to offer Android development. I still teach that course to this day. About 7 years after I first taught it, I've taught many students through the course. And that's my night job. During the day, I'm a global training manager, mostly technical training, for a point-of-sale software company. Additionally, I've had teaching appointments with Northwestern University's School of Continuing Studies in Chicago. Now, as part of my teaching, I have developed a website called plantplaces.com in cooperation with the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. And we'll use a lot of the data from that website in this application. This is my third video course with Pact. I've also developed some video courses on test-driven Android development and create Android apps with App Inventor. Both of those courses have a lot of very good information. Test-driven Android development talks about writing tests first using behavior-driven development and making a higher quality application because of that. Those are topics that play well with the Kotlin app as well. Create Android apps with App Inventor is targeted towards people who don't have any programming experience, are not really interested in writing code in a traditional IDE, but instead want to take advantage of App Inventor's web-based user interface to create an application. So, what you see on the left is a picture of me. I've chosen this picture specifically for this video because this is a picture of me on a train in southwest England. And on this train, I put together a lot of the presentations that we're using in this video course. Of course, I wasn't recording them on the train because that'd be noisy, but a lot of the examples, a lot of the presentations I wrote on this train, several also on a flight. So I thought this picture, despite my headphones and obviously a yellow cord coming from my ears, I thought the picture was a bit appropriate because that's what I was in the middle of doing at the time. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed this video course and I hope you do as well. So, what are we going to cover in this course? Well, first of all, we're going to cover this Kotlin programming environment by writing a real live Android application. You see a screen capture of it here on the right side of this page. So, this application will show up a picture of a plant randomly and then 4 possible options. And then you can select an option and see whether or not you're correct. At the bottom of the screen, it tallies the number of answers correct and the number that are incorrect as well. What's neat about this is it is real and live plant data. It comes from a JSON feed that's publicly available at plantplaces.com. You're more than welcome to use that feed for your own application if you want to try things out or follow along with what I'm doing. The pictures come from plantplaces.com as well. As a matter of fact, here's an emulator with a live app, and I know this picture is a little bit fuzzy just because of how it's been resized, but it is a maple leaf. So I can click on the Acer Miyabii maple, and you notice that we get a little correct indication here, and we have a number down at the bottom as well. You may not be able to see that just given the resolution of this emulator, but nonetheless, this is a demo of the application that we're going to write together. What are we going to learn in this video course? In Section 1, we're going to do an introduction of Kotlin. We're going to talk about the history of Kotlin and why it exists today. In Section 2, we're going to jump into Android Studio and we're going to create a simple Kotlin app with the layout of the application that I just showed you on the previous slide. In Section 3, we're going to see how we can connect this layout and the widgets on the layout to Kotlin functions. In other words, how do we handle things like a button click? How do we create a function that will activate when the user clicks a button? In Section 4, we're going to take a look at some of the great productivity-enhancing parts of Kotlin, which is classes, objects, and null checks. We'll move on to Section 5, where we take a look at integration with Android components like the camera and like something called a broadcast receiver, which can react to stimuli from the outside environment. In Section 6, we'll look at something that's very popular in mobile development right now, which is integrations with outside data. We're going to see how to read a JSON data feed and then use that to populate a series of Kotlin objects. Finally, in Section 7, we're going to take a look at image handling. Now, what are our goals for this course? After the course, you should be able to create an Android app with the Kotlin programming language. Maybe you have an idea for an Android app, and this is a great opportunity to try out some of the Kotlin features that save time when you're developing software. I certainly learned a lot that I would like to use over and over again in other situations as well. You should be able to create a broadcast receiver to respond to environmental events. Events like plugged-in charging, battery low, Wi-Fi connected, Bluetooth pairing requests, and many other things like that. We will also take a look at Kotlin's time-saving features, like making a DTO in one line, null safety, so you don't have to worry about null pointer exceptions anymore, declaring a variable, using the with construction where you can specify one object or one variable, and then a series of method calls occur on that object or variable, and several more. I definitely got a lot out of this, learning the different time-saving features of Kotlin, and as soon as you learn them, you kind of look back and say, gosh, why haven't I been doing this all along? Finally, we'll take a look at integration, and this is a hot topic these days. So parsing JSON into a Kotlin or a Java object. There's a lot of data that's freely available in JSON format. Things like Cities Open Data Initiative, things like restaurant reviews and health ratings for restaurants. So JSON is a great inspiration for creating an Android application, and in this video we'll take a look at a hands-on example on how to acquire and then parse JSON in our application. So prerequisites, it's helpful to have some programming experience, not absolutely necessary, but will definitely give you a foundation that you can pivot from there. It's also helpful to be familiar with the Java programming language, but that's not mandatory. If you're familiar with the Java programming language, then you understand how some of Kotlin's features will help to save you time. It's a good idea to have access to Android Studio with the Kotlin plugin, or the latest version of Android Studio which includes Kotlin support. All of this is freely available. And of course, it's a good idea to have an idea for an Android app. That kind of keeps you motivated, gives you an idea of something that you can work on and experiment with the Kotlin programming language. So, that's a look at this video course and learning Kotlin by developing Android apps. I hope you take a look at it. I certainly enjoyed recording it, and I hope to hear some success stories from how you have applied Kotlin in your own Android apps. Thank you very much.